All of these advances in Bangladesh will be well noted and recognized.
We all know that Bangladesh has been a leading proponent of the concept of microcredit. And the microcredit concepts have brought social and economic transformation at the grassroots of the people in this country. How do you see the future of microcredit in Bangladesh now that it's in a lot of controversy within the country?
Of course, Bangladesh is the world's leader in microfinance. When I lived here in 1998 to 2001, I made a habit of visiting villages with microcredit, very inspirational. In the 6 months I've been back, I've visited 4 villages with microcredit. I like to take my visitors to villages. I had wanted to take Secretary Clinton back, but I think the security people were not too amused with that. But Secretary Clinton had visited a village in 1995 when she came as First Lady, and she told me about that. She remembered it very well and very impressed by it. Why it means so much to me is because you go into a village, you meet with 20 or 30 borrowers, and they tell you their stories. I have lived, I think, 10 years or 11 years in South Asia. I've been in and out of villages all that time. Village women are not supposed to look at you. They're supposed to look down. They're supposed to withdraw. They're supposed to know their place. These women forgot all of that because their place is standing in front of you, looking you squarely in the eye, telling with great pride, with great passion, their story and how they have helped themselves. These are not a handout program. How they have helped themselves, lift their families, and bring a better quality of life. You cannot be untouched by that. You cannot be untouched. And I saw it with Bragg, I saw it with Grameen. Grameen, 8.3 million borrowers, of whom 8.1 million are women, are participating in this self-help program. I am awed by it. I talked to Secretary Clinton about it. She met with Professor Yunus and Sir Abid. It's a wondrous thing, and I think Bangladesh should be very proud of that.
In that, how do you see the role of the NGOs in Bangladesh? They are one of the most active sectors in the country. How do you see their role they have played so far?
Secretary Clinton spoke directly to that question, and she talked about civil society. And she talked about Bangladesh, civil society in Bangladesh really being a model for much of the world. Secretary Clinton is very familiar with the role of NGOs and civil society here, and applauds it and appreciates the role that civil society has played in lifting the people to a better quality of life.
I also understand that the right to information, I see the Commissioner here, so I'm encouraged to ask this question. Right to information and freedom of expression are always a priority for any government. So how do you assess the people's right to information and freedom of the media in Bangladesh currently?
Well, one of the pillars of democracy is the fourth estate, is the media. And I get 6 newspapers every day, and I get summaries of all the rest every day, real time. And it's a largely free press. They don't seem to be inhibited from going after me and others. There's an element of self-censorship, which I see. I think the access to information, the right to information, is a critical part of the media. To do their job, they need to be able to dig. They need to be able to shine lights into dark corners. That's an important part of the media. To the extent they do that, I applaud them. I urge it to do more. I hope they will use the right to information more aggressively. I hope the responses will be faster, because everybody gains, democracy gains, when dark corners are lighted.
Bangladesh is a relatively young country population-wise. It has a young bulge, and there's a large number of people under the age of 25. How do you think this youth in the country can really change the destiny of the country in the coming years? What role can they play?
When Secretary Clinton was looking at how to spend her limited time in Bangladesh, we put many ideas out there. Okay, we stacked the deck a little bit, I will confess. Please don't tell her. But she chose what we wanted her to choose, and that was youth. I find young people in this country absolutely exhilarating. I don't know to what extent you engage with them. I fill my table with them because they are the future and they are the present of this country. 60% of this country is under 25, 80% is under 40. And to listen to them as they share their visions, their frustrations, their plans, that really is inspiring. I'm very happy that America supports young people as they try to organize themselves. The Bangladesh Youth Leadership Center under Ijaz Ahmed, the Volunteer for Bangladesh under Corby, so many other organizations. What these young people have done with minimal resources, shoestrings, is just so awe-inspiring. So it makes me so hopeful about the future of this country to see those kinds of people engaged. They don't need to set up NGOs. They don't need to reach out. They don't need to find volunteers to clean beaches, to teach mothers how to do things. They don't need to do that. They could be all off making hoards and buckets full of money, or they could traipse overseas and live in UK or Canada or someplace. But they choose to be here to build this country. I really respect it, and as long as I'm ambassador, I will do everything I can to support them.
Ambassador, that's a real note of hope. Although I have many more questions to the Ambassador, but it is time for me to turn it over to you, the audience. So it now goes to the floor. And here, I think the house rules will be, we have sufficient time for question and answer. We'll take a cluster of 4 or 5 questions at a time and turn it over to our guest to respond. Please indicate to me by raising your hand if you intend to ask a question. I'll come to you. And please briefly introduce yourself before you ask the question. And let's keep the questions and comments short so that we can fit as many as possible. We will start from the front row. Barrister Amirul Islam, sir, you have the floor. Just wait for the microphone to come to you.
One here, write these down. Are you going to keep track?
Yes, we will keep track. There are people who are...
I can't memorize it.
Mr. Ambassador, I'd like to thank you for sharing your perceptions on various topics which have been raised by General Manjur. And particularly, thank you for sharing this vision about the new sea road. My question is that though you have mentioned that you don't have any direct connection with Delhi, that you have any duty to the perceptions of India. I call it Khadi route to the sea, to the new sea. Khadi route. I'm saying the perception of India with regard to the new sea route.
The next question is from Ambassador Shamsi Chaudhary, please.
Thank you, I think, for an excellent question and answer session, very pertinent to the form, content, and future of U.S. foreign relations. Very articulately answered by the Ambassador. I have just two questions on the security issues. This partnership dialogue that was signed during the Secretary Clinton's visit, it is seen as a legal framework on which the security relationship can be expanded in the future. When we talk of cooperation between the defenses of the two countries, will this agreement stop Bangladesh from having similar engagement with other countries in the region like India, China, Thailand, and all the others? That is my first question. The second one is, again, in relation to that, when you said that at the end of the visit of State Secretary Shapiro, in one of his comments he said that a modern Bangladesh village is the interest of U.S. security interests. I would like some clarity on that. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Ashfaq, please.
Let me stand up and I'd like to congratulate you, General Munir Zaman, for having an ambassador come to a podium like this. It's very unusual. It's unthinkable. But perhaps because he's the American ambassador, he has taken that liberty. Under all conventions, this is an ambassador never comes into public view. On behalf of his country, he conveys it to his capital, and he studies what is in this country and conveys to our government. But this is okay now, because we are in a modern age, in the 21st century. So this exchange of perceptions is very important. And I congratulate you, Ambassador, for having come here at his invitation to talk to us. Having said that, let me just ask you, the visit of your Secretary of State was initiated by you. By you means the government of the United States. Bangladesh government didn't have any role whatsoever other than accepting what you asked them to do. Number one. Number two is that the agenda, the program, was also developed by you. And you have said it during the course of your conversation that you gave them suggestions, gave the secretary suggestions, and she picked from them. What did the Bangladesh government give you? Other than raising two issues. One of the Millennium account, the other is about, there are two issues. Yeah, the government export, having a duty-free export. So there is a very inequitable balance in our relationship. I want to see a more equitable balance in our relationship. You never supported us during our war of liberation. So what makes you think, yes, we'll have a dialogue every year at two tiers, two levels. But if you want the people of Bangladesh to be with you, with the United States, which the people-to-people relationship are excellent, there's no doubt about it. We share the same values. But does the government of the United States, be it Democratic or Republican, share views with our people? Do you share our views, our ambitions, our hopes? Thank you.
Mr. General Chaudhary, microphone here, please. We'll take one more question in this cluster.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
We'll take one more question in this cluster. We have some young friends at the back from the university. In each cluster, I will ask that you ask a question. So this is the fourth question. The fifth question will be from one of our young friends.
Mr. Ambassador, the unprecedented interest generated by the visit of the Secretary of State here in Bangladesh is understandable. Now the main reason was the timing of the visit. The time when Bangladesh was somewhat resting politically, and she has stressed on the need for reconciliation or dialogue. Just now, we have also echoed the same point. 2 or 3 days before, we have been quoted as saying in one of the gatherings that you are finding encouraging signs, if not encouraging signs, readiness on the part of both the contending parties, that is, government and opposition, for a dialogue. But we find, unfortunately, more endurance and hardening of attitude of the both sides, opposition and government, on the dialogue. What is the basis of your optimism that both the sides are ready for dialogue?
Mr. Ruby Saifullah at the back.
Just a suggestions actually which I'd like to share. In regards to the energy sector, one of the sad part is actually that in the neighborhood, particularly Bhutan and Nepal, we have a huge hydro potential. And one of the interesting parts that we like to see this country is more of a logistic hub like Colombo in Singapore, Colombo becoming. Now, in regards to the US experience, they have a lot of experience with Canada, for instance, with shale gas, other processes of actually transporting these energy resources, unleashing these energy resources for certain markets. And I would think that it could be interesting for the American energy research cells or the energy companies to actually give a thought on this, because this is something, energy that's waiting to be unleashed. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll try to go to Ambassador for your response, please.
Yeah, these are some good questions here. I especially like the very last question about energy because I have a very economic focus, and Bangladesh is an energy-rich country in terms of potential, not only gas, but very high-quality, low-sulfur coal, which I hope someday will be developed. It also is blessed to be close to the hydro potential of Bhutan with 10,000 megawatt potential there. Maybe someday there could be a joint venture with Bhutan to harvest some of that, bring power here. You specifically asked about shale gas. That was one of the issues raised during the discussions with Secretary Clinton, and she undertook to send a team of experts here to assess the shale gas. One of the other questions was about the perception of India and the New Silk Road. India would very much be a part of the New Silk Road, as would Bangladesh, as would so many other countries. Question about the partnership dialogue. Would it stop Bangladesh from having agreements with other countries? Quite the contrary. The whole text of the partnership dialogue was in one of the newspapers. You can read that. It's nothing more than what I said, a commitment to have a high-level engagement on an annual basis to give strategic direction to our many engagements. We engage in health, security, climate change, trade, investment, so many different areas to make sure that all of that engagement is going in the same general direction. A question about the modernization of Bangladesh military being in U.S. interest. It's in everybody's interest. An effective ability, capacity of Bangladesh to protect its borders against piracy, against trafficking, against stealing of fish, protect its economic assets, arms trafficking, drug trafficking. That's in everybody's interest, and including the United States. Question about the Bangladesh government's role in the Secretary's visit. The Secretary came at the invitation of Bangladesh. Her program was worked out with Bangladesh. The questioner sells his own government short for reasons I don't know, because they certainly represented the interests of Bangladesh very well, and half of the issues brought to the table were their issues, including the Millennium Challenge account, which is a major issue, including lifting of tariffs, which is a major issue, including shale gas, including extradition requests, and a range of issues. I can't read my note there. Oh, a reference to I'm sorry, I can't read the last part of that. And then there was a question about the timing of the visit. The secretary was in China for the economic and strategic dialogue.